All right, Key.
Yes.
Key, where are you from originally? Where'd you grow up?
So I am from a very small country area called Tappahannock, Virginia. Yep, I was born there, raised there until pretty much high school. But I did move to Atlanta growing up for a little while and then moved back home. My grandparents mainly raised me. My mom, great mom. She's the GOAT, really. She's a great mom. But she was a workaholic at the same time and trying to make sure, I had everything I needed. So she was mainly working while they were taking care of me. But it was great. It was great childhood, really. And that's a long story. My dad, let's just say I consider my brother's dad my dad. So that's how we're going to take that. Understood. He came into my life around, I want to say around 10, maybe a little younger, and he's been in the picture ever since. And I'm, 29 now, so yeah, I just consider him my dad pretty much. Yeah, but he's good too. We actually all moved in together, which was interesting. Me, my mom, him, my dad, and my brother.
Your biological dad?
No,
he's been out of the picture.
Dad. Yeah, he's been out of the picture since day one, pretty much. Yeah. So, yeah, it's been interesting.
How far did you go in school?
Yeah. I graduated, and then I went to Job Corps, and I went for computer tech, so that's the whole thing. Everyone always wants to know how I got into it. So I'm actually a plumber now. So I graduated high school, was actually going to do pretty much what you do, so mass communication, like videography, photography. That's literally what I wanted to do. So I got into Morgan University in Baltimore. So now I've moved to Baltimore. I skipped that part. So I skipped to Baltimore around like 8th grade, and then it grew up from there. And then I graduated and then went to Job Corps for computer tech, because that was my goal, right? If I could do the photography and fix the computers, I get a job anywhere. But it didn't pan out that way. Ended up in the middle of Kentucky, and they didn't even have a teacher. It was pretty nuts. So I was like, I called my mom, I'm freaking out. I'm like, what am I going to do? I'm in the middle of Kentucky.
Where in Kentucky?
Mammoth Cave. So yeah, really in the middle of nowhere.
There's not a lot of African Americans there.
None at all. You've been down there. So right, I'm like, man, what do I do now? So they told me, they're like, just try something else. I was like, okay. So I tried the plumbing. And it's ironic because as soon as I walked in, I was like, girls don't do plumbing. And the teacher's like, they do. And I'm like, I've never seen a female plumber ever. Never even heard of it, right? So he's like, just stick with me. I think you'll, get somewhere with it. And I just stayed.
Has plumbing been good to you?
Very well, very well. I bought my first house at like 25.
For you.
Nice 2022 Kia Sorrento. So yeah, I'm doing pretty good. So
you.
I think it's paid out. It was a journey. I've definitely hurt myself pretty good a few times, but overall, I love it.
Has being female helped you in terms of like people just thinking, I'm gonna hire a female plumber? Or no?
Pros and cons, right?
They probably don't even know you're female.
Well,
with a name like Key.
So the craziest thing is, my name is Kiasia. Literally, it's simple, Kiasia, just how it's spelled. No one can say it, so I just go by Key. Yeah. And then they say Keith, Kia. They make up stuff like they don't hear Key. I don't know. It's crazy. I can't simplify it anymore. But a lot of times they're actually just like surprised because they've never seen one. Or they always want to hear my backstory. It never fails. They're like, as soon as I get to the door, like, how in the world did you become a plumber? So I'm like, you know what? The short answer, I'm like, I fell into it because they ask every single job. But it's worked out really good. It's weird. Sometimes the women are really good about it, but then you have the men that are like, you sure you know what you're doing type of thing? And it's like, well, do you? Because you called me. So, it just gets into that thing. But as soon as I start talking about what they need, they're like, oh yeah, she knows what she's talking about. Right. And then I fix it and then they're happy. So it works.
And you're living in Baltimore now?
Yes.
And Baltimore's been good to you?
Yeah, Baltimore's been a wild ride. Yeah, it's been good overall though, for sure. Definitely grew up. I'm gonna say Baltimore made me grow up. So in the country, everything's slow pace, not doing much, nothing but family around you, a lot of land. So that's how I grew up. So moving from that to Baltimore, like West Baltimore to be specific, right in the city, is like, whoa. It's literally, you can go outside and see somebody walking a goat. You can see somebody walking a chicken. Like, you see the craziest, the crackheads, prostitutes, you see everything walking right out the door. It's crazy. But overall, I love it. I love it. The culture, the food is totally different. It's literally like nowhere you've ever. Have you been to Baltimore?
I've been there many times. Yeah.
You have? Okay.
But I always go to the roughest neighborhood, and I don't want to assume that that's what Baltimore is all about.
Right. Exactly.
Which is the same as seeing all these Skid Row interviews and thinking that LA is a shithole.
Exactly. Right. It all depends on where you are, right? Because literally a few blocks away, you're in a whole different area, especially in Baltimore. So I get it. Yes.
And romantically, you've been in love before?
I've been in love a few times. So I'm only 29, but I feel like I've lived a very long life already. It's pretty crazy. So I met my first fiance as soon as I moved to Baltimore. So 9th grade. And we were like high school sweethearts. We were together for 10 years. And then we moved to Nashville when I got out of Job Corps. We moved to Nashville together from Baltimore. And we worked for a while, but then it was just, she missed home and her family, and I was so focused on building my plumbing career. So it was just, we were separating, I guess you would say. And, we decided, it's best we just try other things, put it that way. Because, again, we grew up together, so we were freshmen and have been together 10 whole years. So it was like, all right, let's try some new things. And we're still, I love her, no love lost ever, but didn't work, So, and then after that ended, I was engaged one more time. And that one lasted about 4 years. That one was good. It just ended really crazy, like really crazy. In short, don't ever try to bring in a third when you're not already good. And you've heard that many times, but it's so true. So true. It ruined the whole dynamic. So yeah, we moved on. But now I'm very happy. I gave myself time to do therapy. So I really work on myself. And so the other reason I'm here, right, is the BPD. So it literally, as you've probably already heard, sabotages all relationships around you.
This is borderline?
Borderline, yes. Borderline personality disorder. So I was diagnosed with it about 2 years ago now. And ironically, though, the craziest thing was I always felt like my life was like a roller coaster. I felt like literally it was very high, very low, no middle ground, like ever. I'm like, what is going on with me? Am I crazy? Like, I really felt that way. And then it seemed like anytime I tried to communicate about anything in the relationship, stuff like that, it always went the negative way. Like, never positive, no matter how calm I tried to be, how understanding. It was like, no matter what, I always made it go left. And I'm like, what is going on? And then I realized I had like some type of splitting going on where it's like I'm two different people. So it's like I'm Key, but then I have another side of me that I named Sincere that just does like the most ridiculous stuff. I don't even know why I named it that, but yes, it does ridiculous things, like just self-sabotage for no reason.
Self-sabotage, yeah.
For sure. But with therapy, it definitely helped. But ironically, I actually self-diagnosed myself from your channel. Believe it or not. So like I said, felt like I was going crazy in high school. I did get diagnosed with depression. There was a suicide attempt. So of course, once that happens, they really want to figure out what's going on with you. So labeled as depression. Then I was like, nah, it's not just that. I know it's not.
You don't seem depressed.
Right? I'm like, I'm not that depressed. Like at that time I was going through a lot because my back to the beginning father had popped up out of nowhere saying, hey, I think I'm your dad, and literally disappeared. So, it was that whole abandonment thing going through high school. It was really weird. And then, my mom was going through it at that time. I feel like once I turned 16, I literally lost my mind. Like, like everyone says a teenager is rebellious, but like I lost my mind like ×2 because I went from the country to the city in a whole new world I know nothing about. And then on top of that, all of those things. So it was a lot. But overall, they said it was depression. I knew it wasn't just that. So when I've been watching your channel for years. So Grace, like I said, I got to give a shout out to her because she saved me so much hassle on like doctors, diagnosis,
Grace
just
is one of the very
misdiagnosis.
first borderline
Yes.
people that I interviewed.
For sure. And that's what I kept hearing. Like, that is a repetitive thing. Like, they get misdiagnosed so long for so many years and on all this different type of medication. I didn't do any of that. I literally did therapy for a year and watching your channel to see how other people's lives and stories were, comparing them to mine, and being appreciative of what I do have.
Yeah,
you know?
because there are a lot of really great qualities that borderline people will have.
Right, exactly.
Along,
so it's like,
along with the self-destructive one.
Exactly. So it's literally like Jekyll and Hyde, as you say, or literally a split personality. So one minute you'll get someone that's literally the life of the party, and then the next I'm like, don't even look at me, don't speak to me. It's like it's up and down.
What's been the darkest point of your life?
The darkest point.
You say about like suicidal. It's no party.
Yeah, I would say that time was pretty low, because I felt like I was spiraling and I couldn't figure out why. So it's like you feel like you're losing your mind, or in a sense you're drowning in your own brain and there's no life jacket. So you just got to keep trying to fight through it with no type of guidance.
And does having friends or family tell you that everything is great and you have no reason to be down, or
every day? Every day.
It doesn't help, does it?
It doesn't help at all, because with BPD, it's a mind thing. So literally in our mind, like for instance, on the way here, I was so overwhelmed because I'm like getting anxious and I'm like, oh my God, am I gonna say the right thing? Am I not gonna say the right thing? It's great. Like your mind races a million literally seconds. Like so many things go through my brain like at all times. So it's hard to slow it down. That's the problem. So when you try to push things aside, it just keeps piling on. And then, you can get in a low spot. And nothing nobody says makes it better, because it's about how you feel about yourself. And you always feel abandoned or like you're gonna be left. And that's always our biggest fear, like abandonment. It's the whole thing about borderline. It doesn't necessarily mean you had a terrible childhood, though. So a lot of people jump to, oh man, what happened to you when you were younger? It's like, it has nothing to do with that.
It could also be that you just inherited something.
Exactly. Or you just went through so many changes too fast in your childhood that it couldn't keep up with your brain. That's pretty much what I think happened to me. Because my childhood was good. I just feel like it was so many changes going on, and deaths and all this other stuff. It just felt like, oh my gosh, I just don't want to end up alone.
And not knowing your biological dad, you don't know what kind of stuff he's going through that maybe you inherited.
Right. Exactly. Yep. That's another thing too. Exactly. But what I noticed, like I said, I knew it wasn't just the depression, but what from Grace's video, what helped me was she said a few key things. One was how she switches her job. Like, we have a really good career that you literally can keep the rest of your life. Like, I think she was a mechanic and I'm a plumber. So it's like, obviously, we're needed everywhere and always will be. But just like her, I literally counted yesterday, just preparing for this. I counted. I was like, dang, how many companies have I been at? I've been doing it almost 11 years. I literally have been at 7 different companies. So same as her. And I was like, why do I do that? And it is just like impulsiveness. But then on top of that, it's a self-worth thing. So if I feel like I deserve better, I'm like, okay, well, on to the next one, because I know I can do that, right? Versus a job like, okay, no, I need this. I can't find anything else, or it's slow, or I might not get something else. It's like, no, literally, if I go in Indeed, I can have 5 interviews lined up in 5 minutes, you know? So it's one of those things that we just do impulsively, I guess. But then the other thing she said was that you would, like, literally you wouldn't wish it on anyone else. And I feel like I've listened to a lot of your videos, a lot of different like personality disorders. And they say that, but I feel like the ones with borderline, no, we mean that.
Yeah, borderline
we
is
mean
like,
it.
It's like a hardcore case of all the other mental disorders.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's such a complicated like diagnosis, because you don't really know how to feel about it. It's like, finally, I know what it is. But then there's no cure. So it's like, well,
right. Yeah, there's no.
Come on, man. So now I find out, and then I don't know how to fix it.
Yeah, when a borderline person tells you they're going to do something, do you typically get quiet when you're at your darkest point, or do you talk about it?
Oh, I shut down.
Yeah, so you shut up. That's when you have to worry about it.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's how that attempt went. I was struggling, I was spiraling, and I just shut down like bad. And I was in a situation where me and my mom were arguing. We were going at it. I was packing a bag. I was ready to leave. And a situation happened with her wife at the time, where pretty much we were in the middle of the street about to fight because I was trying to leave and my mom was telling me you're not, and at the same time I'm like 17 maybe, so it's like I was raised by my grandparents, so you don't backtalk your parents, right? You'll get slapped real quick. So I was like, man, what do I do? And I was so psychologically messed up at the time that I wanted to leave so bad that I went back in the house, and because I couldn't leave, that was my only other way out. And that's how that happened. So shutting down, spiraling, and just trying to literally cope any way you can. Yeah, that was definitely the lowest point. Because then after that, obviously, when you do that, then it's psych ward time. So then I'm in there with all these crazy people, and I'm like, I literally just wanted to get out the house. Like, why am I here, right? Trying to play it down to that, when obviously, no, it's something deeper, right? So then I got into therapy, and then, with therapists, some you like, some you don't. So it took me a while, but I not actually stopped for a few years because I just couldn't find one that I liked. And then when I was with my last fiance, I noticed patterns that I was doing in my relationships, and I was like, I need help with this. That I do know I need help with, but this is before the Grace video. So I got into the therapy, found the perfect therapist. We got along perfect, working on a lot of things, opening up, trauma work, all of that. So then I saw that video and I reached out to her. I literally called her that day. I said, I think I know what's going on with me finally. And she was like, what is it? And I said, I have borderline. And she was like, well, I typically don't do self-diagnosis, but honestly, Key, I've been talking to you for almost a year and I've been waiting to figure that out. I think you do, but how about we do a test? And I'm like, let's do it. Whatever it takes to find out what's going on with me. We did the test, and I think it was you had to have 5 out of 10. I had 9 out of 10. Oh. Literally, I was like, I knew it. And I was like, thank God, finally I know. And I just kept watching her video over and over and over, and I'm like, okay, so I'm not the only one. Thank God. I'm not the only one that just feels like I'm literally out of my mind and there's nothing I can do about it sometimes.
And it might explain why your dad's out of the picture.
Exactly. Could be. The weirdest part about that, though, to just touch on it, him and my mom, kind of grew up together. And they actually, when they see each other in person, it's still a hug, hey, going on type of thing. But it's we had a child together, right? I don't know. It's weird how they just put it aside whenever they see each other. It's weird. But overall, we speak, and that's it. Other than that, my dad is James, my brother's dad. He's been in the picture since, like I said, I was about 8.
That's great. And
been there for me every step of the way.
That's really great of him.
For sure. He's a great guy. And he went away for about 10 years too, so that hurt. So you see, with BPD, it's just that abandonment mixed with that. It's something combined with the two. So it hurt, but he's back in the picture.
What has helped the most with your borderline?
What's helped the most?
What has helped you the most?
DBT. So once I got into therapy, we did the diagnosis. She made me aware of mindfulness, so that helps me a lot. So mindfulness is just the technique of using your wise mind. So you have your feelings, and then you have your thoughts. And then wise mind is where you combine the two and make it make sense. That's how she explained it to me. So that's when I have to, so that's the other thing about BPD. You have to constantly pause yourself. And it makes people think that you're being kind of rude or not responding to them or not listening to them. But we have to literally pause because we're thinking 10 things at one time. So if we open our mouth and just say whatever, anything could come out because we're thinking so much at one time. So with that, it makes me slow down, think, and then try to respond in a positive way so that I'm not, unconsciously, I guess, self-sabotaging. Because if you just blurt out anything right, you might not have meant that one thing out of the 10. So you never know.
Are you able to, as a borderline person, are you able to say, oh, this is my borderline acting up?
For sure.
I'm going to just
for sure.
check out for
So
a day
with
or
the
two.
mindfulness and the DBT, so dialectical behavioral therapy is where pretty much you're training yourself to slow your brain down, increase your serotonin, so that way you're not as overwhelmed in your head. So those two things have definitely helped for sure. And with those two things, it makes you more mindful. So it makes you aware of what you're doing, what you're saying, how your attitude, your mood, your face, your faces. Because that's for me, my face tells it all. Like I might not say anything, but you'll know how I feel exactly by my face. So it's one of those things where it helps with that, because if you're aware of it, you know how to stop it. But if you don't, you're just gonna keep spiraling until you explode, pretty much. And that's just what happens with us. So that's why everybody thinks, oh, borderline's the craziest of all of them, aren't they? Because we let it build. We pile up, we pile up, we pile up. And then we get to the point where we crack. We can't take it anymore. And we just literally snap and do the wildest things. Like, I could probably say the wildest thing I've ever done. My first ex, when I was with for the 10 years, we got into a really bad fight one night in Nashville, to the point cops were called. We didn't fight each other, but by the way, I'm not allowed to touch fireballs ever again. Fireballs literally bring the devil out of me. I broke every TV in the house.
What is a fireball?
Like a little whiskey. Like it comes in like a shot form kind of though. They're like the little yellowish, what is it? Whiskey? It's whiskey, I believe.
Okay.
And then it has like a little red devil on it, literally, on the front. That thing brings the devil out of me. Like, I literally tore that apartment up. Like, broke all the TVs, lost my mind. And I don't even remember what it was about. That's the craziest part. I don't even remember what it was about. It was just so much had built up that I just couldn't take it no more. Just lost it. Thank God I didn't put my hands on her at all. And we didn't fight, but that apartment got it. Oh, yeah. So when we snap, we snap. But for the most part, from the therapy and everything, I've learned to just let it go. Like, things are not that serious as you make it. Like, literally, tomorrow. Like, literally, yesterday, I was in Baltimore stressing over us not having enough customers at my company, right? And then today, I'm here in New York with you. So, like, things can get better. Things change, you know, at literally any moment. Like, when I got the email, 2 weeks ago? I was like, I have to get to New York in 2 weeks. Okay, let's figure this out. And, you know, we made it happen. So it's just one of those things. But I'm learning to just enjoy life more. Like, don't be stuck in my head. Because if I do that, it's the worst. It's the worst.
So your mom is gay.
Well,
sounds like.
The crazy part is they were married and together about 10 years. But that was the only woman she's ever been with. And hasn't been with a woman since.
And so you're lesbian as well?
Yes.
Or
I've been lesbian. Yes.
How are lesbian relationships different than like male female or?
They're not.
They're not same thing.
No. Yeah, pretty much.
People are people.
I would say it's really just the same. It's just about companionship at the end of the day. I feel like it's really just about the companionship, the partnership, helping each other, working through life together every day. Mm-hmm. I don't think the sexes really make a difference other than obviously how other people may feel about it or look at you outside when you go out, things like that. But it's about the same. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now I'll ask you one more question, which I ask everybody.
Yes.
What is the most common plumbing problem that people will call you for?
You know what cracks me up? I say this every day. I'm like, yeah, everybody thinks we just do toilets. That's it. But literally, we probably do a toilet a day. There's something to a toilet every day, for sure. It never fails. But plumbing is so diverse. Like, it's a lot. Like, because you have commercial, industrial, residential. Now, me personally, I've only done residential the whole 11 years.
But when your toilet's backed up, man, your life is...
Exactly. So I want the quick money.
Especially if you have one bed.
Exactly. I don't want the money that we get months from now, and I'm just breaking my back working every day in construction or something like that. Nope. I want to get in, fix the toilet, get out, get the money. I just like doing it that way. But yeah, I love my customers. I just love it just feels like I'm doing my part every day.
You're saving
literally.
lives.
Yep. Literally just saving one life one toilet at a time, right? We gotta figure it out. But no, I love it. It's my passion for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah, I just love helping people. And then right now it's best that I'm staying at this company for a while. Because right now I've actually just stepped into a manager, trainer, everything position. So I've definitely leveled up recently. I partnered up with another female entrepreneur. So it's really exciting because women are not in trades like that. So we're going to do some big things. So I'm excited. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Key, thank you so much for sharing your story.
Of course. Thank you.
I wish
it's
you all
been
the
a
luck in
pleasure.
the world.
Thank you. Appreciate it. You too.